Hi, and welcome to this episode of John's Model Kit Review. Today's video is the third in a build log series of Special Hobby's Radiator Re.2005 in 1/48 scale. This is Special Hobby Kit number SH48206. The first video in this series was a review of the Special Hobby Kit, and we were trying to answer the question, is this kit a short run kit or more of a weekend build? And in that review, we concluded this is definitely a short run kit. In the second video, we looked at some of the progress made on the underside of the wing and the radiator area, as well as on the instrument panel of the kit. Unfortunately, I was not able to get the instrument panel decal to work on this kit, and so I've had to go in and detail out the instrument panel by hand. But I'm happy with the way that turned out. That turned out very nicely. Another part on this kit that I wasn't super happy with the initial detail of was the upper gun cover on the nose of the aircraft. And this just has two indentations for the gun troughs. And so what I've done is I've drilled out the holes here, and I have also placed some gun barrels in the troughs, and I've hollowed out those gun barrels with an X-Acto knife. And if we look at the back side of the part, you can see where I've hollowed out this area to be able to fit the gun barrels through. After finishing the instrument panel, I went ahead and completed steps 1 through 6, and that is the assembly and painting of the interior. There's a lot of small parts here, and this construction sequence is somewhat fiddly, so I would recommend taking your time. I'm very happy with the way the interior turned out. As you can see in this photo, I have painted it, I've given it a panel line wash, and I've also added some lap belts to the seat of the aircraft. And these are Edward pre-painted photo etch seat belts. I've also completed most of step 7 and step 8, and that covers the tail wheel assembly, installing that in the fuselage half, along with the cockpit interior. As a note of caution here, I really had to modify the cockpit assembly by trimming the front section of the cockpit floor to allow that to fit between the fuselage halves. And while the tail wheel assembly fit very nicely, the cockpit interior really took a lot of filing, trimming, and dry fitting to get everything to sit correctly in the fuselage halves. In these pictures, you can see the cockpit assembly through the cockpit opening, as well as the instrument panel in this view. Gluing the fuselage halves together really required some creative clamping. You can see some of that in this picture. In the end, I was able to get a fairly decent fit of the upper engine cover seam. I was also able to get a pretty decent seam on the lower engine cover seen here, as well as the lower fuselage seam in this photo. But you can see on the vertical tail, there are still some seams to clean up, and you can see that in this photo here. When installing the tail planes, I had a gap on the underside of the starboard elevator, and I filled that with some strip steering. You can see that in this picture. I'll trim that up and clean that up, and that should be a very nice join once it's sanded and taken care of. I've also done some more cleanup on the air intake nozzle. I've added a little bit of putty there and then tried to get that so the lip of it is uniform all the way around. I've been able to finish most of step 10 as well, and that includes adding the exhaust shrouds, and you can see those here. And with some careful dry fitting, I was able to get those to fit very nicely in the fuselage halves. I've also completed the prop assembly, and that turned out very nicely, and it should look nice on the finished kit. We can see in this picture the shape of the Re.2005 kind of coming together, and it really is a graceful fighter. It's a really cool looking aircraft, and I'm looking forward to seeing the finished kit on the shelf. I've also completed steps 16, 17, and 18, and those cover the lower radiator, and they also cover assembling the wheels. I was able to get a very good fit here, but this took a lot of dry fitting, a lot of filing, and a lot of sanding and trimming to get everything to fit properly in place. The detail on the wheels themselves looks nice, and just a note of caution, they have a D-shaped opening on each side, and those D shapes should line up with one another as you look through the wheels. If you don't get this right, if you get that switched, the landing gear cover will be upside down when you place that on the aircraft. My next steps in this build are to complete the landing gear bays. I will also detail paint those before installing them in the lower wings. And the design of this kit and landing gear means that you can't build the kit and then install the landing gear after painting. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not real happy about that, but I think it should turn out okay in the end. But I will keep you informed. I've also began dry fitting the lower wing to the rest of the aircraft. As you can see in this picture, I think the seam between the rear of the lower wing and the rear fuselage will turn out very nicely. And it looks like the front of the wing should be pretty easy to blend into the forward fuselage section. All right, progress is definitely continuing on the Re.2005 build. And although a short run kit like this takes 2 to 3 times as long to build as a more mainstream kit, they can be really rewarding in the end, and oftentimes you get an aircraft that's not available through more mainstream sources. Well, I'd love to know what you guys think. If you're liking the progress that is being made on this Re.2005, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, I hope you found this video entertaining and informative, and until next time, model on.